lawless Department of Justice and the most politically weaponized Department of Justice our nation has ever seen. We just heard the senator from Rhode Island talk about the imperative of protecting judges. And yet not a single Democrat senator cared about the violent protesters
who get to have children out of wedlock. We don't get to have those kind of conversations. The conversations we get to have is how we are responsible for fully funding our schools so all of our children have the opportunities we have as we...
Okay, everyone, get ready. This isn't the usual way to talk about politics. Two worlds are at war. Senator Ted Cruz comes ready with facts, figures, and his strong beliefs. Ilhan Omar stands tall across the room, ready to defend her view of the heart and soul of America. It is very tense in the mood. It feels like each word is a spark as they meet eyes. As Cruz starts what he calls an attack on an unconstitutional Department of Justice, Omar's face says it all. Always there, refusing to give up, and blazing with intent. This isn't just a disagreement. There is a fight between reason and compassion, truth and feeling.
Justice and the most politically weaponized Department of Justice our nation has ever seen. We just heard the senator from Rhode Island talk about the imperative of protecting judges. And yet not a single Democrat senator cared about the violent protesters that showed up outside Supreme Court justices' homes, including, I might note, female justices like Justice Amy Coney Barrett, threatening their family, and Joe Biden's attorney general didn't do a damn thing and refused to enforce the law to protect those judges. Why? Because he agreed with the violent protesters and he wanted to intimidate and threaten those judges. Professor Bray, under our Constitution, who should decide elections, the voters or unelected judges?
The voters are the ones who should vote in the election according to the laws, and the laws sometimes have to be applied by the judges if they're...
And under our Constitution, who is charged with making policy decisions? Elected representatives elected by the people or unelected federal judges?
I think the question of policy, Senator, is a little broader than the particular case. So the laws should be enacted by Congress. That's where the fountain of law...
Policy decisions are the elected branch.
Right.
Law is the province of the court. Policy is the province of the elected branches. These are not complicated. Professor Bray, let me ask you this. Do the federal courts have power to issue remedies for people who are not parties to a case?
Cruz doesn't waste any time. He really hits home with this one. He says the Justice Department is a political tool and a threat to democracy. His words hit hard, criticizing Democrats for keeping quiet while protesters gathered outside the homes of Supreme Court judges, such as Amy Coney Barrett. Each line hits like a blow, straight at Ilhan Omar and her oncoming circle. Omar doesn't move. Her gaze stays steady, sharp, and focused. The room is filled with the sound of Cruz's words. He thinks that the left doesn't follow the rules anymore. They bend it, and Omar gets ready to respond across the table. The retaliation is about to happen.
Question, I agree, is not complicated. They do not have that power.
Is the phrase nationwide injunction or universal injunction found anywhere in the Constitution?
It is not.
First chart. In the first 150 years of our republic, how many nationwide injunctions were issued?
My view is that there were not any until 1963.
0. Now fast forward. How many nationwide injunctions were issued in the entire 20th century?
It's a small number. I would think it would be a dozen, give or take. It's not large.
27, actually. Excluding Trump's first term, how many nationwide injunctions were issued in the last 20 years?
Far more than that.
32. From 2001 to 2024 against Biden, Obama, and Bush, 32.
Cruz changes speeds. The hall changes into a classroom for constitutional law. Every word is thought out, and every question is well thought out. Who makes poll decisions? His speech is like a blade cutting through the room as he asks. The voters or judges who weren't chosen. His voice is cool but sharp, like the legal truth, which is meant to put his opponent in a tight spot. Even while Cruz works on his case, Omar stays cool and doesn't give up. He says it's not the judges but the people. Even so, he keeps going. He keeps going over the history of judicial abuse. After decades of not having any nationwide injunctions against conservatives, Trump has had 37 decisions against him in just 2 months. Each number hits like a cold, hard blow. The air gets thicker. It gets harder for Omar to stay calm as the stress in the room rises. A fight between law, ideology, and religion that is about to break out.
And how many nationwide injunctions have been issued in the last 2 months alone?
There have been quite a few.
37. Let that sink in. There have been no more nationwide injunctions in the past 2 months against President Trump than in the entire 20th century. There have been more nationwide injunctions against President Trump in the last 2 months than both terms of George W. Bush, both terms of Barack Obama, and Joe Biden's term. We saw during the Biden presidency lawfare, indicting President Trump 4 times, using the machinery of justice to attack him, and that was an attack on democracy, because Democrats today hate democracy. Democrats today are angry at the voters for re-electing Donald Trump and electing a Republican Senate and a Republican House, and they engage in lawfare to stop democracy from operating.
Finally, Ilhan Omar comes up. Even though she is calm and her voice is steady, every word she says is delivered with surgical precision, cutting through the stiffness of the room. She doesn't give information or waste time with legalese. She goes straight for the heart instead. She says, "You talk about law and order. But what about fair treatment for those who are poor, hungry, and forgotten?" The room is filled with the sound of her voice, which shifts the conversation from technical issues to personal matters. Pieces of her own life come back to her. A refugee who doesn't have running water, a bed, or some kind of promise, not as an argument but as the truth. Cruz's charts are always met with answers from Omar that can't be measured and can't be missed. Her point of view isn't written in law or on committee pages. It is shaped by life and pain, and it has a moral force that makes America look inside, listen, see, and make sense of things.
Here to reckon.
The mold to stop poisoning your children in the classrooms. The other thing that frustrates me is people who have experienced poverty, who have gotten the straps for their bootstraps, who sit and talk about how we shouldn't do anything for the next person. See, as someone who knows severe poverty, I lived in a refugee camp, on the floor, no water, nothing. And I hear somebody say here in the United States, they're fine with their grandparents not having running water? And that's supposed to be okay? Or we hear someone say, it was a choice made up to me to have my children and not be like the other black people who get to have children out of wedlock.
This is where the fight turns personal. Cruz takes a strong stand and speaks out against what he calls lawfare, which is a political tool used to silence dissenters. He charges Ilhan Omar from the opposite side and hits him hard. But Omar doesn't answer back. Instead, she reacts to his anger with calm, precise, and unwavering silence. Her silence is louder than her response, so what she said before can be heard all the way through the room. She stands there not only for herself, but also for the millions of people who are left out, ignored, or don't know who they are. Cruz's idea of law and order turns into a wall. This is a call to be included. They couldn't be more different. He stands up for the system as it is. For those who it has failed, she speaks up for them. Patriotism goes up against liberalism. Principles and empathy go together. After that, there is a charged silence that makes the air seem to shake with the weight of conviction.
We don't get to have those kind of conversations. The conversations we get to have is how we are responsible for fully funding our schools so all of our children have the opportunities we have as we sit in this room. We get to talk about the kind of opportunities we have as government to make sure healthcare is provided to everybody so that we don't have people dying in the United States because they can't afford insulin. The conversation we get to have is making sure that there are no children going to sleep hungry or being shamed in classrooms and in lunchrooms because their families don't have enough money to pay for their lunch. The conversation we get to have about the kind of poverty we have in this country is the kind of poverty that says it is okay for us to take photo pictures with veterans and be okay with the fact that they're sleeping on the streets here in the United States.
Ilhan Omar takes the floor once more. Her voice rises.
Ilhan Omar speaks again. Her strong, determined voice rises, and every word is heavy with the weight of what she has been through. She paints a sharp picture of America. Veterans are cold on the streets. Children go hungry in places that are supposed to feed them. Grandparents get by without running water, power, or respect. Her comments are more than just policy. They're not ideas, they're facts. She forces the chamber to deal with a terrible problem. A country that brags about how kind it is to other countries but doesn't care about its own needs. The difference is heartbreaking. Truth versus rhetoric, pride versus neglect. Every word sounds like a verdict. Firm, real, and human. The room is then used as a witness stand instead of a place to debate. It's not an argument, Ilhan Omar. She is giving her testimony in front of history.
So as an immigrant, as someone who came to this country, hearing about American exceptionalism and prosperity, I am appalled that we get to sit here and have conversations as Americans about being the most charitable country in the world and not being charitable enough to house our homeless, feed our children, care for our veterans.
For the cruise trips for the first time, there is a short break in his beat as the weight of the moment falls over the room like a physical force. People who have been against Ilhan Omar for a long time are now interested in what she said. The truth is that this is not a show. She turns to look at the crowd with a steady gaze and asks, how can a nation so proud be so lacking in compassion? How can it fund wars abroad when children are starving at home? The question cuts through the chatter and makes even her fiercest critics quiet down. The senator came ready with facts and data, but now he or she faces an enormous task. A fact that can't be proven or argued against. It's the quiet power of having lived it yourself. The kind of argument that aims to awaken rather than win.
Charitable about that. So I ask you, the kind of systematic barriers that exist in prosperity, that's the conversation we should be having. And so I want you guys to, for the little bit of time that I have, to talk about the systematic barriers that exist in creating prosperity and what it means for us to remove those so that all of us could have the prosperity that is guaranteed with it.
As the session nears its end, Ilhan Omar's words linger in the air like smoke, unshakable, alive.
Before the session ends, Ilhan Omar's words are like smoke in the air. They can't be moved, they're still alive, and you can't ignore them. They can be heard outside of the room. With the help of laws, penalties, and clarity, Ted Cruz may have been able to win on legal points. Omar's argument, on the other hand, was about something much deeper, what it means to be human. It was never just a disagreement. It became a reflection of America, a country that is always torn between morality and humanity, between power and morality. At that point, she asks, what is kind about ignoring our own people? The silence that follows says a lot. There is no argument or counterargument. The truth is the only thing that is clear. The real win can be seen in that silence. Not in length or beauty of speech, but in bravery. Here, two views met, but only one was brave enough to go deep into a broken society and show where it stands now in terms of morality.